This is Caribbean Vibe.
We all know from since we small, but from year to year you say nothing. Santa coming to call, we always forget it or ignore it. And that ain't nice at all. We always Indians, so don't be off guard when Santa come to call. Just get that boy drum and we big stone, get some cowrie or the jawbone, cook up some yam, can you briefing. Let Santa eat cause he belly big.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Seems so
Jamming, jamming, jamming. You know what time it is?
This is
This
Caribbean
is the
Vibes.
marathon. Mash up.
Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. But girl, tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Danny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tell Me. We're coming close to the end of 2025 and our next show will be on the 18th. We are not going to be doing a show on Christmas Day. So you have to tune in next week to make sure that you're with us because that might be the last show for the year. And so we want to start early by saying thank you to all of our beautiful, wonderful fans who have been with us for the entire year so far, and hope that you'll continue to be with us as things get more and more exciting here in Nevis. Good evening, Tulu. How are you doing?
I'm grateful for mercy and grace and for strength and privilege to be here again another Thursday evening. Let me reach out to the clans of all those who would have put together this great Nevis Reformation Party, beginning with Ron Liebert and Mrs. Eunice Liebert, Harris Liebert, down to Carlton Paris, down to Brother Philip, down to Ivor Stephen, Uriel Swanston, Simeon Daniel, Phineas Griffin, Denison Maureen, and the list goes on. And so thank you for the sacrifice that your loved ones would have made, and so that we have a party to represent the interests of the people of Nevis. Good evening to all others. Welcome.
And good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to all our listeners. And if it's indeed, this is our penultimate program, we're looking forward to the last program for the year. Well, let me say good evening to all those who have joined us, whether you're in FM Dial, YouTube, Twitch, and of course on the Facebook feed. And to my brother down there in St. Croix, good evening to you, my brother Denny and his wife Twilla up in New York, my sisters Even and Judith up in Connecticut, and of course my brother Carl in Atlanta, And my other brother Carl up in Canada, and my brother right here on it's Reverend Osneil Daly. Good evening to you guys. And of course, my left and right hands over there in St. James, Bose and Turkey and Gary. And up in Westbury, my good buddy Max. So, good evening, guys.
And I'm joining in and saying hello and good evening to Big Sister Mary and John and Jonette. And also, while I'm up that way, let me say hello and good evening to Mervet. And of course, Caden and his lovely mom, Shireen. To make my way down to Florida again and say hello and good evening to Dahlia and Alan and the rest of the family before jumping across to the U.S. Virgin Islands to Irma Skelton and her lovely children, Sharifa, and of course Shamari and the rest of the family. And then taking a quick boat across to Tortola to say hello to Everett Byron and his lovely wife Heather and the rest of the family. Hope that you're doing well. And then coming home and saying good evening to all of our beautiful members here. Mrs. Jeffers, I hope to see you for Christmas, before Christmas. And the Farrells, hope that you're doing well. Good evening to you. And I hope that everybody, you are locked in and ready for a good show this evening. Daly and Tulu, lots of birthdays. Lots of birthdays. Today, Lisa Descent, down there, Descent Doran, down there in St. Martin. And good, happy birthday wishes are coming your way from Mommy Rhonda. And of course, from your lovely aunt as well. And then Tuvia France. She's celebrating a birthday today. Looking as lovely as ever. And J.W. Parry celebrating an anniversary, a wedding anniversary today. Mr. Parry, we didn't forget you. Tomorrow, Friday, we have Camille Kelly. We have Errol Pemberton, Vaughn Walters. Alsted and Alexa Pemberton will be celebrating an anniversary. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge will be celebrating, along with Paula Wallace, George Morris, and Ernie France. And December 12th set the record for the most persons we have been celebrating in one day, and I'm sure that we missed a couple. On Saturday the 13th, Jamila Mitzi Hobson, my very good cousin, Lornette Swanston Morton. My auntie Dulcina Iris Brown will be celebrating her 94th birthday on Saturday. Her mom made it to 107. Auntie batting good. Keep batting, auntie. Michelle and Jean Liebert will be celebrating their birthdays. Corey Lawrence, as well as Claudette Walwyn. Those are celebrating on Saturday the 13th. On Sunday the 14th, my cousin Tanya Powell, she will be celebrating. Monday the 15th, my sister Vanilla Nisbet will be celebrating. And on Wednesday the 17th, Dr. Lornette Mills Rollins will be celebrating her birthday. So that's quite a lot. And I'm sure that we're going to see others coming up on the feed. We might see a couple others. But those are the persons who we have celebrating birthdays and anniversaries. So quite a lot.
It tells you somebody will be naughty.
A lot of somebodies. Not just one, is a lot of somebodies.
That's all around
Easter.
Easter.
Easter came around, March.
Just after what the anti-man fella there?
I'm not going to help you.
St. Valentine's?
Valentine's.
Yeah. Where you say he's anti-man, but he seemed very productive to me. Tulu say he's not helping, and he looking all down Sandy Point.
When he getting naughty, I'm not getting involved.
You're not helping him at all.
Hey, it's all part of life, man.
True.
Let's do the birthday song for all of those good people.
All right. Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And as usual from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, of course, wealth.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to start this evening by sending out condolences to the Deputy Governor General. Heard that she lost her sister,
Yes, sir.
Nurse Sylvia Ward.
Wow.
Nurse Ward, I knew her from
Way back.
I was a little boy.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me that she was always a senior nurse because I always seem to have known her wearing brown. You know, one of the loveliest nurses I've ever come across.
Beautiful lady.
Demeanor, pleasant, and she had a way to make me believe that her injection was softer than everybody else's.
She should have done a wonderful job.
Yeah.
I had experience with her, and of course I would have had experience with Nurse Weeks and Nurse Challenger from Bath. And I refused to go to my mother for injections because she was rough. And,
Even with her son?
Even with her son. I mean, she was a no-nonsense kind of person, and if you cried, she wouldn't want to hit you. So, Nurse Challenger and Nurse Weeks, those are my go-to people.
Mm-hmm.
I know Sister Ward. Sister Ward, I knew her as a nurse too, but she's one of the sweetest Christians that you'll come across.
Yeah, that's so Christian.
Yeah. And so the Nevis community and the Christian community on a whole, we're going to miss a dear soul, but she has gone to a better place. God in his wisdom and his mercy lent her to us for the duration of time that he did, and her course has come to an end. She has run her race, she has finished her course, and waiting for her final reward.
Yeah, well, of course, we'll know about details later, but right now we're just reaching out to the family, including the Deputy Governor General, and saying our condolences. Somebody else who was buried today, Leonard Flaherty Small. Mr. Small died I think he died in the US, and they brought him back to St. Thomas for the funeral this morning. Mr. Small, of course, served in the Van Samre government starting back in 1992 that saw NRP losing office. Let me come back to that after this. Good evening, caller. Hold a minute. For some strange reason, you're not coming up as you should be coming up, and I will tell you exactly why. I had a nice little visit from Sister C, and she undid something, so I've redone it. Go ahead now from the beginning.
Good night again.
Yes, good night.
Hearing me now? Okay,
Yes.
good. Good to see all of you tonight. I just want to call real quick before you get into the meat of the program and remind everybody about the breakfast at the St. George's constituency group breakfast on Saturday morning from 6:30, and invite everybody to participate in that breakfast. We are trying to make it a little extra special for the holiday, adding a few things to the menu, like fried fish and bush tea and so on, along with the other lovely things that we normally have. And also we are saying thank you to everyone for supporting the breakfast for the past year. And so we will be giving out a free raffle ticket to all the persons who purchase a breakfast on Saturday. And that person who wins can win a nice food hamper. Food has gotten very expensive, and life, things hard. Price control is non-existent. So we're trying to do something, and we wish we could have given everyone. We can give everyone a ticket, but we can't give everyone the prize. But the winner will be announced on Saturday evening at the Stand Up for Nevis rally, which also takes place on Saturday evening at Market Shop, right there in the junction of Market Shop, Class 1 stop. So just inviting everybody to come out, encourage persons with their no to the SSV Destiny t-shirts to wear your t-shirts, and just come out and let us continue to educate the public as to what is going on. So again, we have breakfast and the Stand Up for Nevis rally, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. All right, take care.
Thank you. And
You're
I love the St. George breakfast. Saturday is my aunt's birthday, so I got to make sure that I take a breakfast and pamper her a little bit extra
You love
on Saturday.
you love Gingerland breakfast.
Absolutely
Ginger.
love it.
Well, what happened to Charlestown?
No, I
best
was
of the
I
best.
was talking about Gingerland. You can talk about Charlestown, but I was talking about Gingerland, saying I love the breakfast. You can talk. You can, if you want to say it, you can say it.
Daly is raising his eyebrow, right? To that answer response, right? The best of the best.
Nothing is wrong with that.
You didn't back me up a little while ago, so me
Okay, all right.
back you up.
He's taking revenge on me.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So yeah. And listen, I love when you're having functions when you're calling. It adds something. You just bring your voice. So that was on my list to mention the breakfast in Gingerland at 6:30 on Saturday. The rally is at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. So we are going all day, from breakfast all the way down to the Stand Up for Nevis rally. And then one other thing I have to mention is that the NRP Gala, that big end of year dinner, is on the 27th of December and is only $200. I still have a couple of tickets, but it's only $200. And so I am encouraging people to get their tickets and make sure that you participate. Okay. Even before we jump into everything else, and I want to say something about small, but let me go ahead and tell you about Paragon, the business center right up there in Government Road. Listen, it doesn't matter what you're looking for. Go check Gene Liebert at Paragon. I've been up there and I go there when I want to do some business, do some shopping. I don't have a lot of shopping to do, but I go there and I look for Gene and good products, great prices, and trust me, good conversation. So you looking, I don't care what you're looking for in any of the supermarkets. You can get it at Paragon. So go up Government Road and tell Gene is behind the where the supermarket was, to the back. You go up there and you tell Gene, the fellows and tell me sent you. And he can take special care of you. Okay, gentlemen are coming back to Leonard Flaherty Small. In 1992, when CCM won the government, they rode on the back of somebody like Leonard Flaherty Small. He was living in the Virgin Islands, came back home to participate in the election and to help CCM win the election. And Mr. Small won that St. James seat, which, you know, had been NRP seat forever. And CCM managed to keep it in the family for, 30 years? But here is the thing about it. They used Mr. Small for his money. They used him to help to get the equipment that they used to keep meetings. Even in office, they used Mr. Small for prizes, gifts. Whenever they were having anything, everybody looked in the direction of Mr. Small. And Mr. Small was Minister of Communications and Works. And I remember one time, years after they had dumped Mr. Small, I got a telephone call from a number that I did not recognize. But I like to call back people, so I called back the number. And it was Mr. Small. We were in office at the time. And Mr. Small said, "Minister, I need to talk to you." I said, "This sounds like Mr. Small." He said, "Yes." He said, "I need an appointment." I said, "Mr. Small, you come to the ministry and you tell them that Mr. Small is outside and I will see you. You don't need an appointment to see me, as a matter of courtesy from somebody who sat in the chair. I will see you whenever you come." And he came and he closed the door and we spoke. And Mr. Small said, "I'm going to tell you something that I'm sure you're not aware of." I said, "Boy, I know a lot of things, but I don't know a lot of things too. So tell me." He said, you know, when my party put me down for the lady," he said, "the lady." He said, "You know, when my party put me down for the lady, the nurse, you know that Vance didn't tell me anything?" I said, "You got to be joking." He said, "No, I got a message that I should listen the radio tonight. And in those days, the radio was Van Radio." He said, "Somebody said, no, what's going on?" They said, "The premier going to be making a speech, so listen." He said, when he was listening to the radio, he found out that Gene was going to be the candidate for St. James, not him. He said, "I couldn't believe it." He said, "Minister, I could not believe it. My party that I did so much for, and which drained so much of my resources. When they were ready to get rid of me, they didn't have the heart or the conscience to look me in the eyes or to even write me a note and tell me, Small, you should leave because we have somebody else in mind. He said, they told me to listen to the radio. And when he listened to the radio, Vance announced the candidates and he was missing. In his place in St. James was Gene Harris.
That is true. I spoke to him the morning after because I did not know. I met him right there at Madden's by the stock farm. And we normally talk, so he stopped and we talked. He said, listen, you know that they replaced me? I said, no. He said, yes, they had a meeting. They did not tell me that they were having a meeting. And I just found out last night on the radio that they replaced me. And listen, Small was hurt. He was devastated by what happened. Because at least have the courtesy to say to him, we are having this meeting, we're going to be having this meeting, and we're giving a heads up that we are looking in a different direction for a candidate. And we will not be considering you any longer. And I don't know why, because he was a winner. You know, he was a winner, but they just chose to get rid of him. You're right, after they cannot use him anymore. You know, and it was devastating for him. And I think he was happy to tell everybody who he knew about what they did to him.
But what did he do?
He kept silent.
No, I mean in terms of what was the reason for replacement?
Oh, no, they had moved on.
They just moved on.
They felt entrenched.
Yeah.
They felt that they had become powerful enough to say to hell with him.
Yeah, we don't
so
need
they just pushed him aside.
So it's not a lack of performance.
No.
They have I think by that time they would have found other donors and people who were going to pump money into them. So
or perhaps persons that can better control.
Well.
But Mr. Small was not the only one who got pushed aside like that. I can speak to somebody like Lofton Brandy, who was an efficient minister in the government. And when CCM lost the government in 2006, Minister Brandy, as he then was short of a pension and his gratuity by a couple of months. And so he went to them and said, hey, listen, I am short by a couple of months. We're in the opposition. You could consider making me a senator.
Yeah.
And at the start, I will give you a letter of resignation that you can date. Just make sure that it is at least 6 months after so that I can qualify. And he was given the word that yes. But they went around and they looked and some people were shopping around for Colin Tyrrell. And then eventually they came up with Mark Brantley. So poor Brandy, having served in the government, was short of qualifying for pension and gratuity by months. And his own party in opposition, where it didn't matter if they had appointed him as a senator in opposition just for the months to qualify and then he could leave. It's not that he was going to affect the balance of government in any way. But they said yes, they said no, and by the time Minister Brandy, if I am not mistaken, had his wife and his 2 daughters in school. And there was he falling short of a pension. And you know pensions last for life. Falling short of a pension.
He had that guarantee while they were considering Colin. Colin was more reasonable. As soon as, well, according to Rodney, and she told me I could use her words, she said, when they showed up to the meeting, nobody there wanted Mark Brantley. Said nobody. Said, I am the one who said to them, it would not look proper just to have this one individual, which was Colin, and then you don't have a second. So she decided to move for the second. And she said, I move that Mark Brantley, nomination for Mark Brantley. Then he said, immediately, I move to second
She can't do that.
my nomination.
Anything
And then
goes
she
in
said,
CCM.
after that, I move that nomination cease.
Can't do that.
Anything
Could
goes in
happen, but that
CCM.
is what happened.
So
And then Colin back out.
Well, why wasn't Brandy under consideration at the time.
Because after Colleen back out and Brantley came in, Brandy was deemed a liability to the party. That is what I was told.
In what way?
I don't know, because as far as I'm concerned, the two most productive ministers in the government then was Brandy and Malcolm Gishard, and the two of them was in basically the same ministry. Okay, he was the deputy to Malcolm. And so, but it was deemed that, because I asked the very same question, why wasn't he allowed, seeing he was a senator, to continue at least for a year more, so he can get the pension that he worked so hard for? And I was told straight up that he was a liability.
They didn't see him as a candidate.
Well, Karma came around and faced Van Zenzel. In 2017, he faced the same music. He put on Small, the same music he put on Lofton. He faced it for himself.
True.
It's a sort of incestuous relationship where what goes around comes around, but harder, because you, as Premier, exercise a certain kind of behavior, and only to fall prey to it from the same man that replaced all those persons you didn't want. Anyway, c'est la vie.
Yes, so Small, may his soul rest in peace, he served. Came out of the Virgin Islands, he spent his money, CCM used him, and when they had finished using him, they abused him.
There's another issue, because when I spoke to Small, I wanted to know why. And Small would have said to me that they deem him to be too honest and too decent an individual, because he was not down this victimization pathway. Okay? And so, you know, he was a professing believer and a good Adventist. And so he was leading towards his biblical point of view, and they discarded him.
But that is a question I asked you a while ago. Why was he?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't answer then.
Yeah, but that's the discussion we had. He was too, they deemed, to be honest, he was too decent of an individual.
Okay. Let me cross over and take this phone call. And while we're taking the call, let me just say, I don't recall anybody in CCM mentioning the passing of Mr. Small,
No.
I don't recall hearing that they sent a representative to the funeral or anything like that. I mean, this is doggish behavior. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you tonight?
I'm good, but sad. I'm very sad to hear that Mr. Small has passed. I mean, as a politician, he truly cared about news. And I don't think he did anything where he didn't feel it was in the real interest of news. And his problem with Mr. Amory was very simple, He wasn't a yes man for anybody. And therefore, Mr. Amory had to get rid of him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay. It's just sad that you could be a member in a party, in a government, sat around the cabinet table. I mean, even if some of these fellows here, none of these here would have sat with Mr. Small, but surely they would know that he served the people of Nevis as a minister of government. I mean, Mark Brantley flying all over the place. Why couldn't he just stop off in St. Thomas and attend the funeral this morning? Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. Gentlemen, we know that we are getting ready for the rally there on Saturday night in Gingerland. And we're going to come back to that. We're going to have some discussions on land matters, but we're going to hear from our sponsors first.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
And just like that, we are back with you, and we are going to be talking about land, because here in Nevis, land is close to the people. And we have a situation here where the federal parliament passed this SSZ legislation, which for all intents and purposes is to enable Destiny and other projects like that. I'm focused on Destiny because that is the one in front of us now. And so I went back and I found an interview with the late Washington Archibald, who left us in June of 2017, talking about land and the importance of land and housing and so on to the people of St. Kitts, and I would say Nevis as well. So let's hear what the elder had to say.
The Moyne Commission, which came out to investigate the cause of the riot, suggested that St. Kitts should become a land of peasants. They advocated that land should be taken out of the sugar industry to improve the lives of Kittitians. One thing they wanted the land to do was to give it to people so they could cultivate and sell food and feed themselves. The next thing was take the land and build schools on it and playgrounds, so that black people, children could have a good schools to live in, to go to educate themselves in. This came out of the Moyne Commission. The third thing about the sugar land was that the Moyne Commission suggested that the slums should be cleared and cane fields should be used to build villages. So you could clearly see that as far as the Moyne Commission was concerned, the sugar industry was standing in the way of the progress of black people. They said, take sugar land and set up small farms. Take sugar land and build schools. Take sugar land and clear the slums. That's what they said to do with the sugar lands, the Moyne Commission. You see, but we have taken it on ourselves to believe that the sugar industry was our lifeblood. It wasn't our lifeblood. It was the lifeblood of the white people who owned it. They did everything in their power to preserve it. They turned all the little estates into one central thing, and they built a central sugar factory. It was for them, not for us.
Washington Archibald, Washi, for whom that school in St. Kitts is named after, in case people don't know, was speaking on invitation of some Rasta men in St. Kitts, who up to today always acknowledge the Buckley's uprising. And he was asked to speak about the Buckley's uprising. And he made that comment with respect to the sugarlands in St. Kitts. And St. Kitts is 68 square miles. They got a lot more land than Nevis. And what always amazed people from Nevis is that when you go to St. Kitts and you look at some of the housing projects, they barely got walk-around room. Okay. I mean, if the house is 1,000 square feet, in some of the areas you have 4 feet on each side to walk around. So you might have your home and 2,000 square feet of land. And that is not what Washi wanted. Washi wanted for the poor people to be afforded land so that on that land they could build houses and they could grow something. Gentlemen, hold your comments. I want to go to Washi talking about the importance of land.
Because I've done my best to educate people about the importance of land. Whenever I'm invited to talk to a school, when they used to invite me to talk to schools, my team has always been that Kititians must learn to work for themselves. And I mean, the only capital you have with which to work for yourself is land. And when the sugar industry, a couple of years before the sugar industry collapsed, you know, I spoke at the convent school on an Independence Day. And I told them of the dream that Senkis will become a land of small farmers when the sugar industry collapses. So, I mean, you know, but I suppose my voice wasn't loud enough. Maybe my rhetoric was not convincing enough.
So, Mr. Archibald, we know in all that knowledge and the land now comes in our possession. Why can't we make it more accessible to empower people?
Because the people who are handling the land do not know our history and they don't have any historical sense. You know, this is the sad thing about it, you see. The people who run our affairs and who manage our land have no sense of their own history. Because they believe, and some will tell you, oh, don't worry with Archibald, he talking stupidness, because how we going to exist without foreign investment? But you don't invite foreign investors to take over your country.
Sure.
You invite a foreign investor to bring in money. To invest.
That's right, that's right.
A foreign investor is supposed to invest, but they ain't investing. They're taking our land, they're coming in, taking our land, doing things that we could do ourselves.
I'm going to stop it right there, and we can play the other two clips later, because Washi addressed the fundamental issue at the end. He said you don't invite foreign investors to come in and take over your country. But this is exactly what Dr. Drew and Mark Brantley are doing with these Destiny people. They are coming in to take over 6 square miles of a 36 square mile island. Completely taking over those 6 square miles. That makes no practical sense to me. And I want to go and record as saying that once this proposal is approved in terms of Destiny, and Drew said that he has no interest in repealing the SSZ legislation, once the proposal is approved, I hope that Drew and Brantley pay the ultimate price. That they lose. That they lose at the next election. Listen, I'm a vision. The land has always been close to the hearts and the souls and the psyche of Nevis people. And just the thought of investors, in inverted commas, coming into a poor, broke country and just dazzling people with money and saying to them, look, I have, you could get some, whether on top the table, under the table, in the dark, in whatever it is. Put it in a account over here where you hope nobody would find out. Pay these people who are in charge of Nevis $100 million, $150 million, whatever. Make it important for them to know that they're going to get money. Just dangle the carrot in front of them. And they sell out, are allowed to be sold out 6 square miles of Nevis. That don't sit well with me. And anybody, any government that allowed that to happen, I hope that they pay the ultimate price and that they lose. I don't say it and I'll take it back.
Why take it back?
Okay.
I endorse everything you just said there. You know, one of the things that Ver, and they want to disassociate themselves from Ver, but Ver said that he and Jensen has been partners for years, and for years they have been looking for a place where they could set up their country by themselves. And he said that they paid government a large amount of money to get what they wanted. He did say in that conversation that he was going to announce then which government. We now found out which government.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening again. Just a observation. When somebody, a country, a company breaks beyond broke, they will snatch at anything. You get a $5 is money, okay? But what I want to know is who got the country so broke? That's where you should put the blame. Who got it so broke that you can, as you say, sell out your birthright just for money? I wonder who got it so.
It's a good question. The same people have been in office for what? Most of the time since we became independent.
I have a little bit different perspective on this matter. And I listened to Washington's speech, and I agree with what he said, for most part. And I agree with the premise he also put on the table, Carlyle. But here's the conundrum. The ultimate responsibility for us disposing of land is ours. The ultimate responsibility for any disposal of land is ours. You know why? Because we have not done a single thing whatsoever to put into policy, put into law. These things can never happen. You cannot come and purchase these huge swaths of land. You cannot be disenfranchising the future generations of Nevisians by taking up 6 square miles or 4 square miles or 1 square mile of lands. We have to now put into legislation any developer, foreign developer, who wants to come here to establish an offshore any business, a hotel or whatever, that they be prevented from purchasing lands. You can lease it for 99 years, 50 years, whatever it is, but you cannot own it. Owning is permanent. Once that is owned, it is very, very, very hard to get it back under the people of Nevis and St. Kitts. And so while we are saying that, and recognize that we are losing huge swaths of land at one full sweep, what are we doing about it? In certain countries in the world, I can talk about Mexico, especially on the peninsula in Mexico, you cannot buy. You can lease. You cannot buy. That way the governments ensure that the lands remain part and parcel of the patrimony of the country. But here on Nevis and on St. Kitts, we have yet to take any step, even a modicum, to say, listen, your development requires 1,000 acres, we will lease them to you for a very long time, but we cannot sell them to you. If you want to, whatever the acreage is, can be agreed upon. But we cannot continue to sell huge swaths, whether it's 50 acres, because if 500 people come and take 50 acres, we're back to square one. That's gone. Now we are looking at 2,400 acres because of the magnitude of it in one fell swoop. But if you incrementally do that, you still arrive at the same point where Nevisians will be disenfranchised going into the future, where they have no place. Because we have said, and the Premier has said, and Eric has said, there is no cap on the number of SSDs.
there's no cap on the population to inhabit these SSDs. So by not doing something through policy, through legislation, what exactly are we to accomplish? What is it? What is left to accomplish? Because we're going to lose it. When I look at the history of slavery in America, there are 50 states. And even in states that has a predominant, or I should say close to predominant black minority, they don't control the state. We in the Caribbean, these black people in the Caribbean, own the Caribbean. It is the single largest holding by black people outside of Africa. And we are under threat of losing it. My brother Denny just returned from St. John's in the Virgin Islands. And he tell me what he see there is a premonition to what's happening, is going to happen all through the region. Because people from North America are coming back to reclaim their own ancestry. Whether it's Dutch or French or British or American, the emphasis now is to reclaim.
Hold a minute, Daily. Good evening, caller.
Good night, gentlemen. Yeah, I would.
We're barely hearing you. You got to get closer to the phone and give me some volume.
Okay. You can hear me now.
Barely. Everything at my end is turned all the way up. So.
Well, my phone is not quite familiar, so I'm not quite familiar with it. So I don't know if you could bear with me, or if not, I'll maybe use another.
Yeah, we're not hearing you well at all. You're low. I am straining my ears to hear you.
All right.
Okay.
I have listened to what you said and listened to what Daly said. And that makes it even more paramount for we the people of Nevis to vote Brantley and his CCM out of office.
And then what?
Then we get the government to put in place what you put there, because it's not going to happen under CCM. Because Brantley has made it abundantly clear and said to people and encourage people to sell their lands. He wants them to sell their lands. If you have lands and you're sick or you're this, why not sell the land and tell people to sell their land? So they're not going to do it. We have to get rid of them and get some persons in office that are going to do exactly what you said. It needs to be done.
But Tulu, you understand the point that Daly is making.
Yes,
that,
yes.
And it is a point that was made during an interview I did with the late Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel back in 2006 of June. And his argument and the reason why he said he was so upset that he did the interview was that he called into a show the night before. And when he called in to talk about people in Nevis and the government must stop the practice of selling lands to foreigners and force them to lease instead, it didn't get traction on another station. So that is why he called in on, I think that was Political Vibes on the Wednesday. And he made that point that Nevis must stop the practice. CCM didn't hear him. Because remember, Newfound, they sold 1 square mile of Nevis to Newfound. So they're in the practice of selling. They're not in this practice of leasing. As far as they're concerned, life ends with them. There is no generational wealth to be built for Nevisians and for our people moving forward. And that is what I want. My children, my grandchildren must not come and work as hard as I did to get a piece of Nevis. I must be able to leave something for them. But when CCM is encouraging people, listen, you have 20 acres over there where in the south of Nevis. They're encouraging you to sell all 20.
Sell all.
Sell all 20.
Sell all 50.
The premise, I mean, we have been prosecuting this matter about patrimony and all these things for some time, especially in reference to the SSC. And I think it's time that the people of Nevis be asked their opinion about the way forward in regards to land ownership of Nevis. Because you see, if I own an acre of land, the argument is I should have the right to sell it or lease it. If you're selling it to a foreigner or a local, whichever way it goes, it's sold. If you sell it to a local, you perhaps, you can modify and say, listen, it's a local. But when you start getting up in the tens and twenties of acres, being lost from the general public land bank, I have a difficulty with that. And I think it's time that we start fomenting a policy or policies regarding land use.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm giving thanks. Gentlemen, let me tell you something. Every time I think about destiny, it upsets me. Because if they come here and set up shop, they have more rights than us as black people. You know that they're going to be able to walk up and down Charlestown and go up to Hamilton and go to Gingerland. We're not going to be afforded that authority. So to me, we are giving ourselves up to them. If this is to happen, Nevis would have lost its way. Our leaders' slogan for the election was people matter more. I think they're saying white people cannot be black. It cannot be black people when we could get up and sell ourselves so cheap. Let me tell you a story. My mother had 10 little nigger. 3 lived in New York and all 3 had their own homes. 2 of them lived in Brooklyn. You know, they couldn't touch outside. When I visited my brother the first time in 1983, and he had no porch, because everybody in Nevis had gallery. Me say, what can I blind a gallery? He said, Flowers, I can't touch the house. I said, when are your house to be? Say, yes, I could fix up the basement, I could do the interior. I cannot touch outside. Both of them was able to sell the house because of them house. But Brooklyn controlled what was there. You not had no rights to do as you like. So them set the houses brownstone, I think they be name. Now had no porch. And I wanted out in the road and look news. We wasn't afforded authority. Now in Nevis, we have our own land. And I want to big up the Nevis Reformation Party because you realize everybody who built a 2-bedroom, get a 2-bedroom house from the NRP was able to add on an extra room because they were afforded that much land. That is how Nevis people know about land. That is how Nevis people feel about land. I wonder if the Premier ever give himself a thought of what he is doing to us. And you know the sad thing about it? That 2 girl picked me. But then well off, you hear? Nobody else got a child. So when this generation dead off, that's it for Nevis. Nobody cater for the yet unborn. And that is sad because a lot of us inherited from our grandparents. All them land out, they come from Johnny Howell and Spencer Howell down to Tessa Howell. So what happened to us? We're not supposed to grant the generation the same thing? Let me tell you something. I'm hoping the Premier would wake up one man and say, listen, I have done you wrong, I resign. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller. Listen, somebody on the Facebook feed is asking if NRP was able to retrieve any of the land sold to Newfound. And yes, in 2006, when NRP came into office, we sat down with the Newfound people and we showed them where there were some errors. And we said to them, listen, we are saying to you that you must give back at no cost some acreage to the people of Nevis. And we were able to retrieve 172 acres, which is not high up in the hills, it's down on the beach, right there next to TDC. That area we've retrieved 172 acres, to the best of my knowledge. I also have to make the point that 172 acres that was retrieved by NRP is already encumbered, because some of that land was used by CCM when they went to look loans, so they had to use some of the same 172 acres to guarantee the loan. You fellows didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
Boy, it does look new, so I just find out all kind of things. I don't think that it surprised you, Dr. Daly.
No. I heard about it some time ago. And, this whole land issue is weighing heavily on my mind.
Must.
It's weighing heavily on my mind because I don't think we understand the threat under which we are, the threat at which we are facing. Because you follow stories in Barbados and Jamaica, and you're seeing the creep up. You're seeing the creep up in Antigua and Barbuda, in St. Thomas, in St. Croix. You're seeing the creep up, and I don't think we are paying attention to what's happening outside of the southeast. Most of the coastal territory on Nevis is already gone. That span going out to Butlers, Maddens, coming around to Newcastle. That's all. Most of it local or government lands. We need a clear policy of how we dispose of those. Otherwise, we are going to be encircled and lose out. We are seeing it, and once you've gone abroad and realize the opposition, the position we have in the Caribbean, sun, sea, and sand. When you compare us to, like, say, the Carolina, the outer islands of the Carolinas, or Florida, the Keys, we are far superior in terms of our expanse of seashores and water quality and all that. They are looking here at us with an envious eye and saying, we got the billions now, we can make a move. So we no longer have to sail in with swords and cannons. We sail in with big bank accounts. The effect is the same. You are disenfranchised from inside by people like Mark Brantley. But if we continue the same reckless policies of open-ended land sales, we will be no better off or no better than what Brantley them are doing. And so NRP has to take a very, very strong position and advocate for that position through a referendum or through some sort of referendum to decide where and how are we going to go into the future with regards to respect to land. That's all I'm saying.
Don't we have I think I heard them say they have a federal land use policy, but I'm hearing that it is there on paper, but there is no enforcement.
I worked on the land use policy of Nevis.
Okay.
For a couple of years. And I walked out of that committee in the final stages. You know why? Because there was a decision that the premier of the island or the cabinet would have the right to override whatever positions they were taken. I was like, I can't sign this. I cannot put my name to this. I don't care which party is in power. I cannot, in good conscience, be working on a land use policy only to have it being overridden by by cabinet.
So why do it?
Huh?
So why they didn't do it themselves then?
Because you see, I don't like to waste my time and check the boxes kind of exercise. And so when I was asked to be part of it, I willingly went to work on it. Myself, Oni Stapleton, a bunch of us. I was more focused on agricultural lands and all that, making sure there is provisions for agriculture going forward. Different people focus on different areas. But I was aggrieved by that condition that you can simply do all this work and for it to be upended by a simple cabinet note to say, we're going to disregard that. I couldn't do it.
Gentlemen, it's 8:59. I'm expecting a call at 9 o'clock. And I should tell you that there is going to be an important meeting down at the Anglican Church Hall in Nevis coming up on Monday, starting at 7 o'clock. And I want people to go out to that meeting. And it is, what the group call itself daily?
I have no idea.
They are also dealing with this whole SSZ and Destiny and all of that, and so there will be a meeting at the church hall in Charlestown at the Anglican church hall, I should say, on Monday at 7 o'clock. And so you have a special invitation to attend. So please make sure that you're there. We'll go take our ads. When we come back, I hope to have that caller on the line so that we can very well have some discussions on that matter. Let me take this call before going to break. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
I am getting better and better. Good to hear you.
It's a pleasure. It's been a couple of weeks, Carlisle, but finally I can make a call.
Yes.
to you guys. What has been happening now from what happened? I'm not proper. Maybe about 7 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, thereabout. We began a group of NGOs here in Nevis. We began to talk amongst ourselves. And we decided to get together and coalesce, and that goes all the way to the evangelical, to Christian Council members and presidents, Chamber of Commerce, Historical Society, Hotel Association, and the rest, a number of others. And we began to have meetings. Because of this SSC and this prospect of a Destiny project coming here on Nevis, everybody has been concerned and figuring out how to deal with it and move forward in terms of having some sort of combat or fight against it, an organized fight. And so civil society, one of the things we recognize, a few of us recognize at least, that in a country you have a government, and in a country you do have the business sector. Three parts of it that runs the country, and there is civil society. And that stands in the middle. A lot of us around here civil society don't play a big role because you never coalesce. But in terms of shaping future of countries and shaping laws and shaping civil rights or whatever, even in the United States, it took civil society to at least hold the center of the country and change the entire country, complex of the country. And that has always been the case, even from the abolition of slavery on and on. It takes, because that's where the voters are, that's where the people are, the congregations and all that sort of thing. We recognize those. And it's a moment where, Nevians don't have to feel our petitions, so don't have to feel that, you're at the whims and fancies of those who are in government and who holds the taxpayer's purse and can use it and wield it against you. You can fight, and you can stand up, and you can push back, and you can make a difference in your country. And that is what we sought to do, and that is what we hope is a template for the future, for people to know they just don't stand up and take the licks. If you see something is wrong, civil society can take a position and civil society can move, because they're answerable at the end of the day to civil society at the end of the day. So what we began to meet, and we've had maybe about 5 meetings where we coalesced, civil society that is, and began to plan the way forward as to how do you deal with the SSC, the law itself, and the prospect of Destiny. Now, what happened is that coming out of that, we begin to realize that court action would have to take place at some point. Of course, these are, a lot of these people are very smart people, very accomplished people. And the way it's trying to unlock the way forward as to figuring out how do you do this and what makes sense and all that sort of thing. You have to get the best minds there are to do this. Finally, we got to the stage where, of course, maybe a couple of weeks, we began to assemble a legal team, and from far as England to regional legal authorities and local authorities, lawyers, a team of lawyers that's agreed to work together. We knew we needed if this case is filed and whoever loses, it will go up to past the local court, the Caribbean Court of Justice. And we knew that it would go to the Privy at some point, so we need to get all those people in place. Finally, I think we've gotten to that stage. And now that matter is being reviewed and is intended to place before the court shortly. Team of lawyers meeting tomorrow and beyond. So some of the names you would have known, you've heard them along the way, regionally and maybe internationally. I can't reveal those right now, but it's not at I'm not at liberty to go step ahead of them. So, but I'm just saying to you, the Nigerian public, yes, this is in the works. It's a reality at this point. In terms of some may wonder, the costs and all that sort of thing. A lot of that is being dealt with and taken care of by different groups and people have stepped forward. As it relates to that matter, the SEC matter, challenging that, not Destiny. Destiny cannot be challenged at this point because it's just ether in the air. It is not agreed upon. It's not approved by any government or any parliament. So you can't really challenge something that does not exist, but you can challenge something that exists, which is SEC. A lot that caters towards that. And that is what's being dealt with at this moment. Again, it's an opportunity. It's a watershed moment in our country in terms of, civil society taking a major stand and major in terms of dealing with a matter that is on the minds of every Nigerian and Kitishan. And as Kelvin was saying, Caribbean is large, and they're looking at this case. This is a landmark case. It will be. A good point that Kelvin brought out, I was listening very attentively when he said that we should be leasing lands and all that. I remember, and somebody needs to correct me if I'm wrong, but where we had the Paramount Theater, the cinema, and where we had Restream, and where Restream was, all that plot of land and the government lands, they were released for 99 years. But these are investors who came and invested, Samuel Jones and all these people. So somehow, the guys who ran the country back then in the 60s and in the early 70s, like Bratcher, for example, they had something. They thought they were very protectorate as it relates to their lands. And that was elemental and central to everything that they do, because they know what the struggle was. So willy-nilly, giving away your lands and not making your people a part of the investment seems to be a bit of a, not something that is beneficial, can be beneficial, futurized to our people. And in terms of self-empowerment and all that sort of thing, building.
Couple of questions.
Yeah,
couple of questions. By the way, I think the area where Restream was sold
After the fact.
Yeah. Pennies, I kept hearing that was a lease.
The land was sold parallel, or the lease, the ownership of the lease?
No, that was sold. Sure. That was sold because that is the reason why the government had to pay out that payment that was made a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I'm not too sure about the Pennies area, whether or not that was a lease.
I think the caller is right. The original agreement was a lease.
Yeah.
How it evolved?
Yeah, 99-year lease.
How it evolved into a sale, I have no idea.
No, or when. We just don't know that. Couple of questions. I'm very interested in hearing that there is a team being assembled to file something before the court, because that is where it has to go. Can you tell us whether or not that team is being led by Kessie?
Yes, the team was formed some weeks ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. They decided to work together for the most part. The few original, was it Kessie? Yeah,
King's Council.
Kessie, yeah, King Council, who we would have heard of around here in the past, is involved. He is the one who is leading the charge on this one. He has had some attorneys who has worked with him in the past here in St. Kitts Nevis that he wanted to work with. They're on the team, and there is also a major attorney who works at the Privy, or works in and out of Privy in London, who is on as well, attached to the case from the beginning all the way through. He cannot wait until he gets to the privy to learn the case. So he's been here for a week and some. I think, I don't know if he has left yet, but I know he was here as of last week. So that's he's on hand, and he's a major player.
And these are people who are committed to the case.
Oh yeah. Really committed. Yes, really committed. I don't want to get into the details as it relates to the financial arrangements from what I know, but they are committed.
Tell us about the meeting on Monday.
Last Monday?
No, there's a town hall which is coming up.
Sorry. Yes. Monday evening, there is going to be a town hall sponsored by civil society. Again, it's not like government-sponsored town halls that we've gone to, where with civil society, when it hosts this town hall, the idea is to give people a safe space to vent and safe space to speak, because the church gives you a safe space. Civil society gives you that safe space. And it would take a different angle and a different approach and a different, it will be quite revealing a lot of things at that town hall. It's going to be held on Monday at 7 p.m. at the Anglican Church Hall. All right, so that is going to be streamed as well, live streamed and all that sort of thing. So the ante is up, and we shall see where we land on this whole thing.
Thank you very much. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, good.
I'm just want to say thanks to all those who would have taken the time out to study this matter and invest in the fight against this SSC law, the preservation of the people of Nevis, to all who are involved. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. See you on Monday night.
Indeed. Good night.
Okay. Let me just read a release that came out in St. Kitts Nevis Times, and it says, "Your voice, your future, your island. Nevis residents and stakeholders are invited to a town hall interactive forum on the merits and demerits of the SKN Special Sustainability Zone SSZ Act and the proposed Destiny Project organized by the Nevis Civil Society Coalition. Monday, December 15, 2025, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at the Charlestown Anglican Church Hall. This forum is about clarity over confrontation, dialogue over damnation, and understanding over undermining. Whether you support, oppose, or are still undecided, this is your chance to be informed and to be heard. And they are streaming on lots of sites, and so not 2020 though. I didn't see them streaming on 2020, but they're streaming on lots of sites. So I want you to make sure that you participate. We really would like people to be physically present down there on Monday night. We're going to take that break that we promised you that we take, and we'll come back.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
PICO, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166 Pico.
The views
the way
and
to
opinions
go.
expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020 Vision Radio or its advertisers.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Tell Me, where we have already blown through an hour. We have 45 minutes left on this edition, which is edition number 1059 of Tell Me. So we are getting up there in the numbers. We have 2 more clips from Washington Archibald that I want to play for you, and then we'll move on to the budget and the audit report. Here is an admonition from Washi.
Yeah, well, of course, land is important. Land is your freedom. And when you give away your land to people from abroad, you're giving away your freedom to them.
That's right.
You give a man your land and then you go work for him on the same land, that's foolishness.
True.
Or you put your people to work for a man on the same land that you just sell him. What kind of policy is that?
I'm going to put that one name in status. I am going to ask my chief research officer to send me that particular clip so I can have it up in my status. You sell your land to people and then you go back and you work for them.
Well, that is what exactly is going to happen to Destiny. You know?
Mm-hmm. And Washi has been dead since 2017.
Listen,
that advice is still pertinent.
I've heard such silly arguments by the Premier and some of his supporters saying that cash is better than land.
How could that be?
You know, and I don't understand when school was being held whether they went down in the gut and sat on a big stone down there or something, because
they didn't go in the gut.
You can't be serious enough to be thinking that once you sell your land, you're better off. That sale is to fulfill an immediate need you may have. But then once that need is sated, then what? You end up with no asset. Land, as a friend of mine told me, he has taken his piece of land to the bank over decades.
Sent his children.
To educate his children, build his business, finance whatever operations. Because the banks recognize the value of land. Land don't depreciate, land appreciate.
The value goes up.
The value goes up. All right? So, we as a people, we as a government, and I come back to the same point. What will be the policy going forward regarding the disposition of land on Nevis? We have 36 square miles, it's not big. It's not big. And we are losing it inch by inch, foot by foot, mile by mile, and we have yet to address in any significant or serious way, how do we stop the bleeding? We're not doing it. We have not done it. Every conversation we've had is about complaining that we are losing our lands. But yet we have not put a position as how we solve this matter.
To stop it. Janssen agreed with Washi because Janssen is telling us that we must sell him our lands. They want all to buy. And then turn around and say that we can come back inside the zone and buy back something inside there. Well, I don't think he was speaking to us. Okay, I think he's speaking like the Premier speaks, that as long as you have a single Nevis passport, you're a citizen. But the insult that Janssen threw at us is not worse than what the Premier says when the Premier says to you, sell your land and hold on to the money.
The insult Janssen throws you, or the insult you take on?
Well, he's trying at us, not me. I take it on. I personally take it as an insult.
Yeah, but why would you?
Because Janssen believe that we're stupid.
No, I can only believe you're stupid if you're stupid.
No, I mean not stupid.
If you act stupid, then you are stupid.
Well, maybe some of us on the island
I'm
are stupid.
serious. Listen, a man can think anything of you.
True.
The question is, how do you think of yourself?
Me not stupid.
Okay, then. So when he's throwing out these nonsense, all right, you can either take it and say, well, it means nothing, or you can say, listen, he's insulting me, and this is therefore my position, my reaction to it.
So I could safely say the Premier is stupid then, because the Premier has bought into the foolishness and telling you it's better for you to sell your land and eat off the money and sell it.
Why hasn't he sold his?
Because he believes we're stupid.
Gentlemen, let's move on a little bit. I have one final clip from Washi, and it clarified a couple of things for me, because I kept wondering about the government policy which started in Sinkits down there, where they used to tell you we're going to give you a half a hog head, and they give you a kind of little stupid small house.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and then moved on to modern times where the government through the agencies are telling you, I'm going to build you a 1-bedroom house. And then the bulk of the houses, they build a 2-bedroom houses. They build some 3-bedroom houses. But in St. Kitts, for the most part, in some of the earlier housing areas, you can't add nothing, because there is just not any room to do that. But even here in Nevis, they build people some 2-bedroom houses. Washi had an interesting take on housing as a result of the housing and land development in both St. Kitts and Nevis. Listen to this.
There's something about this little piece of land in this little house that they think is just good enough for the working class people. You know, I mean, I know a working class man can't afford a palace, but a little sensitivity would tell you that if you're going to provide a house for a working class family, you should at least have a 3-bedroom house.
Comfortable.
You know, when you provide a 2-bedroom house for a woman and her 2 children, and she got a son and a daughter, you know, that house becomes a center of immorality for that family.
That's right.
Suppose it was 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and the woman and her boyfriend got to sleep in 1 bedroom.
Yeah.
And you bring up your teenage children to sleep in a bedroom together, your girls and boys sleeping in a bedroom together. And they begin to reach puberty, and they move into teenage, and they have to sleep in the same bed together in the same bedroom. This is a sign of insensitivity.
That's right.
It is true that the people get a nice little paint-up house.
Yeah.
You know? They get a painted up house and it look good. But it's a 2-bedroom house. And it takes no account of the size of the family that's going to live in it. And they have to pay a lot of money for it.
That's right. That's right.
Because there's no effort being made to help the family to realize the kind of wages that would pay for the house. And then there is no alternative measure used to enable a woman to get a house cheap.
That's a fact.
In other words, let her build the house herself, she and she brother and she sisters and she cousins. Let them cook a pot and the family come together and build the house. Self-help. Instead of that, you have to pay a contractor to build the house. And you have to pay duty on the materials to build the house. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the little house on the little piece of land, the same little house on the same little piece of land which our ancestors used to live on.
That's right.
In the worst days of the sugar industry. Is it true that the little house then was a trash house?
Trash house, that's right. That's a fact.
It was a trash house, but the little piece of land, they could plant bananas on it. But it ain't much different.
That's right.
A trash house then and a tiny house now, a dolly house now, there ain't plenty of difference between them.
So why we must still be in the condition, even though we may say it more modern?
Because the poor people, because there is a culture in St. Kitts and some of the other islands which keeps the poor in their places.
Sure.
There's an idea about upper class and lower class.
Classes.
You understand? There's a class ideology in our islands. We don't We don't consciously espouse it.
Very dear.
But we do so very implicitly. We believe that St. Kitts should have two classes of people.
That's right.
And one class should live at Fortlands and the other class live in Trafalgar.
Washington Archibald, wisdom from beyond the grave.
I believe a man like Washington should be a national hero. Just listening to him. I've heard portions of these recordings before, but I've never really sat and heard in-depth presentations. These are the kind of heroes that make us sit and wonder, how did we end up here? Because I remember those houses in St. Paul's, those half-a-hogged and all over St. Kitts, insulting to the people. Insulting. Because if you are trying to elevate people from poverty, from those little board houses to a same size wall house, have they elevated themselves? They have not elevated. You're gone from a concrete house, a wood house to a concrete house. This idea that I'm hearing now coming back from the Ministry of Housing in St. Kitts and Sustainable Development about even reducing the size of the lots down to just under 1,500, 2,000 square feet.
Don't make no sense.
You cannot, it's an insult to people when you have the quantum of land St. Kitts has. Why are you holding on to it?
And flat land too.
And flat land.
Good evening, caller.
Good night, Mr. Powell.
How are you?
Good night, Mr. Daly. And good night, Mr. Reed.
Good evening.
Something I would like Navy Johns to wrap the mind around. These SSG, it's 10,000 persons come on to Nevis. They become elected. They become eligible to vote. They invoke secession clause. What can happen to Navy Johns? Think about this, because remember that it was applied already. That same 10 to 15,000 persons reaching on Nevis in a 10, 15 years, they're eligible voters. They could vote for secession. How could this happen? This is what I want you all to wrap your minds around. No foreigner supposed to come in Nevis to decide that for you. You understand what I'm speaking of?
I hear you. I am not as emotionally moved as some people are to that. Maybe simply because I've spent some time looking at the area, that South Coast area, and that entire area, if my maths is right, falls into St. John's. How much of it is in St. George Daily?
But then when you look at
is St. John's?
No,
some of it is
St. George's.
Not a hell of a lot.
No, but look at it. For persons to vote, it's 67% of the registered voters it takes.
I agree with you, but how are they going to get it on the ballot? Because there is a process.
Okay, on every individual constituency.
It has to happen down Law Street, in Hamilton House, in the Assembly. That is where the process gets its legality.
But the caller has a point in the caller, because they don't have to be physically there. But if you have a government like we have now, where they've been bought out, they will do the representation on behalf of these people. CCM is now the PRO for Destiny. So if they are to funnel money to the agents in the government and have them table this resolution, this referendum on secession, it's done. They don't have to be physically elected, but certainly they have the money and the power
to
buy them out.
Exactly. Mr. Daly, Mr. Weeks, Mr. Powell, either of the three of you all, and give you all my number. I've already worked on a project, right? I'm not going to say much about it. I'm going to give you all my number, 668-2555. I work on a project, and I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to enjoy it. Trust me. Just give me a call.
All right,
Come think it.
All right.
Please
Thank you
do
very
that
much.
part.
Have a good night, caller.
Respect, man.
Thanks for calling.
I wonder if there's something else in addition, because the caller made an error in saying that it is on us here on Nevis about the system.
Nevis.
It's all of us. Sinkers and Nevis.
Sinkers and Nevis.
All right, so let us get that straight.
And the other thing is that I don't think that people in St. Kitts are understanding the implications of 10 to 15,000 settlers in Nevis. It has everything to do from revenue sharing all the way down to the balance in terms of populations.
But that's an excellent point, because we have now been informed that there's an arrangement of revenue sharing pro rata basis. So if we now get all of a sudden 10, 15,000 more people,
You're gone into 30-something%.
we are now way past that. We are now 30,000 versus 40,000. We are up in the 50+% of our revenue sharing. And even though they don't need it, I mean, it doesn't matter. But let me say something finally about this land issue. What I see as the quantum disrespect for property owners, especially on St. Kitts. Because I just saw NHS reveal some houses up in Stapleton. All right? And those houses are so tiny. I mean, if you want to change your mind whilst you're in one of them bedrooms, you got to go outside.
To change your mind?
You got to go outside and change your mind. Why do people settle for this? And Washi is right. You're not catering for any future. You know, if you're talking about a mother with 2 children, you better pray those 2 children are the same gender. Because then you end up with a situation where the little boy and little girl in the same room, going through puberty, going through adolescence, into age. There's no decency to that. But when you're desperate for housing and you can own something, person will take anything. So the onus itself, for me, the responsibility for the government is to ensure that once persons are going to invest in a home, make it comfortable, man. Make it decent, as what he's saying. You know, this nonsense that you're just taking what they give you because you're so desperate for a roof over your head. I mean, we really need to hold our politicians to account. I hear people on St. Kitts, oh, they give me a house, and they give me a house. You bought a house, and that house is the largest single investment you'll have in your life, passing down from generation to generation. Make it worth it, man. Make it worth it. I understand the limitations of money, but understand this too. Every month, each of us in this federation, whether you're private sector or public sector, 3.5% comes out of your salary if you're working below $6,000 a month. If you're working under 10,000, it goes to 8%. If you go over 10,000, you're going to 10%. Of each of us paycheck is an indirect income tax. And that money is supposed to go into what? Providing affordable homes. It's called a housing and social levy. But instead of going into a housing scheme to make houses affordable for the population, it goes in the consolidated fund for the politicians to use however they want. It's an abuse of the system.
Good evening, caller. Thanks for holding.
Paternal love and greeting, Brother Carlisle, and blessed love, Brother Daly, and blessed love, Brother Tulu.
Blessings, man.
How the night and day was forwardly going?
Man, I am always having great days.
Thankful for the joy of life. Now, I just hearing some outline there in your program, so I just trying to captivate the way what the penetration you are trying to bring to St. Kitts in the assurance of land and house development.
That means you missed the entire program if you want us to go over it again.
I don't want you to go over something.
we are agreeing with the elder Washington Archibald that the government should not be building any and giving families 2-bedroom houses. And this 1-bedroom house I don't rate them at all. People should be given affordable space so that those who want to add can add, and certainly families should be encouraged with affordable 3-bedroom houses, because Washi made the point. If you have your husband or your boyfriend or your if you're a lady or you got your wife and you got 2 children, opposite sexes, and you have a 2-bedroom house, that means that you have to have those 2 children coming up in one room, and it don't make no sense. And we totally agreed with that.
Well, I would like to say this here. We should have able to maintain good land acquisition in the statement that was always echoed in 1975, as they claim to say the late Premier had done thoroughly. But one of the things he didn't outline is making sure that land from the shore to the mountain is properly revised to the people who are the sufferers and not to the people who don't gain. Because this class structure stupidness that we are still embracing over the period of years and years, we are not moving away.
But Ross, the people like it so. They vote for it time and again. And they encourage the people in government to keep building these small houses on small areas of land, and people line up to take them. The people must demand more. They must insist on more. You can't tell me that it is okay for some families to live on an acre land, a half an acre land, and then you squeeze ordinary people on 2,000 square feet of land. It don't make any sense. And the only how that will change is when the people change it.
We shouldn't be paying him no land tax and all, because we have been work for many years. I'm not serious about that.
You're right.
It's time now we divert this thing here we call, as you call, capital, and providing for social income for the people, when we still seeing the people are under the economic ladder in a vast way. We're not serious about change. And it's time now, politicians and all the cronies them who support the jokey ideal be behind bars for the ignorant they have pursued and the generation. We can't have this kind of stability going here and telling us we are going into a modernized world where we still see our people under this stability are being mistreated. Even in the world that we call as the developed world, we see Sri Lanka and all those who have resources on it. The people are still far off from social development, and they have wealth around them. India, in particular, who have a billion people amongst them. Watch how they captivate the people them. You can't be serious on here. That's why I'm glad man, I never vote, and I will never vote, because all your politicians them feel like when all you go into office is all well and sandy, whoever he or she be. But like you said this here from tonight, and it's stating from Rastaya, not no other individual or nobody saying this is Rastaya saying it. You all need to come to a greater agreement in showing the people, not just St. Kitts, the region, because that was what I was outlined, the region, for we to change that climate where the colonial powers have braced down our people and have our thinking just like them, and not new.
I'm going to thank you, Ras Aya, and you and I will depart on that point, because I've told you before and I will tell you again, you don't vote, you don't help affect a change in the country.
Yeah, man, say you could part on that point, but my standard is here. Voting in a change.
And I am going to respect your position. I will respect your position, and I will oppose it. Thank you very much, Rasaya. And you see me? I am not going to spend a lot of time in discussions with people who say they don't vote. Because if you don't vote, you cannot accept, you can't force change. I'm going to respect your position, but you don't vote, you go down that way, I going down this way, because you can't help make any change. Let's say good evening to the caller.
Good evening. The 1st of December of this year was a very historic year. And saying it?
Tell me why.
The 1st of December of this year makes 50 years. Kitty children vote for the right Honorable Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, our first national hero. 1st of December 1975, when Bradshaw had the election for to acquire sugar lands and no secession, free secondary education, and acquiring sugar lands. Yeah. And thinking people like that sleep. And tell you, 2023, that big celebration for the netball girls when we win the first Caribbean netball championship here. Julian Musgrave and Governor General, she was the goal attack. Julian Musgrave with the goal shoot. That big celebration for the 50th celebration. How come we had nothing at all? Citizen to docile.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carla.
Respect, man.
Okay. Gentlemen, I saw something. Hold a minute, Tulu. I saw something which came out from Antigua last week, where the Minister of Housing, the Honorable, I think is Maria Brown, said that they made a big announcement that the government in Antigua will be building homes for as low as 130,000. In Nevis, under this CCM administration, the cost of 2-bedrooms homes are up close to 200,000. They're not making any joking, breaking the backs of poor people in this country and saying that they're giving them something, but they're killing the people with the prices of the houses.
Let me say this again for those persons who didn't hear me the first time. When you really assess the purpose of the housing and the social and services, the social and housing levy that comes out of every paycheck of every working division, 3.5% of your paycheck
minimum,
if you're working below $5,000 or $6,000, 3.5% comes out of your paycheck, every paycheck. If you're working between under 10,000, 8% comes out of your paycheck every month or every pay period. If you're over 10,000 a month, 10% comes out. So if you're working for $10,000, 10% of that is $1,000. That money is an income tax that is designed to go into a special fund, housing and social services. Social services to help the poor, the indigent, and the levy part, the housing part, is to go into housing stock to help build affordable homes, to purchase lands. That was the intent of the piece of that legislation. What this government and successive governments and governments before have done is allow that money to go into the consolidated fund to be used for all manner of things, and forget that the intent was to elevate people out of poverty. This is a poverty tax to help poor people to elevate themselves. But you're hearing now the government saying they ain't got no money for land. Where the money gone? Where the money gone? What they've been doing now, what this government has been doing, is to give instructions to Social Security. Since we owe you over $12 million because we have not been paying our contributions, we have been withholding people's contributions, but we're not paying it in. So we owe Social Security $12 million. What you do for us now? The 3.5% you get from people's paychecks? Keep it, and that's a pay down from what we owe you. This is what is happening in this country.
That is not illegal?
It's illegal. The government giving instructions. Hold the 3.5% or the 6% or the 8% or the 10% and use that to pay down what we owe you.
And in the meantime, the cost of housing continues to go up. Yeah.
Gone to the roof.
Yeah.
Something wrong.
Listen, people must understand the rot that is in this government here. People must understand their position in poverty is not of all of their making. People must understand this government here in particular has positioned themselves to keep them poor. Deliberately so. Deliberately so. Millions of dollars are taken out of your paycheck every year in this country. And the government tell you they ain't got no money for land.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to take our last break for the night. It's already showing 9:45. We had promised that we are going to spend some time on the budget. We're out of time. We're going to just barely be able to brush a couple of things.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Again, this time around, it's more exciting than before. No vroom vroom this time. Clark's One Stop mega raffle for January 2026. Yes, my people, on Saturday afternoon, January 31st, in the heart of Charlestown, Clark's One Stop will be raffling and signing over 9,884.77 square feet of land. Let me take my time and say this again. 9,884.77 square feet of land. Yes, you heard me right. The first prize winner will receive a plot of land located in Serenity Heights in Upper Burden Pasture. But wait, there's more. We are also giving away $10,000 in cash prizes. Yes, 10 persons will receive easy $1,000 each. Buy your tickets today. One ticket is only $100. Purchase 2 tickets and for $200 and get the third ticket absolutely free. You heard me right? You're hearing that? He said, buy 2 tickets for just $200 and get the third ticket absolutely free. Imagine, you're buying 2 tickets for $200, you get a third ticket, and you get that piece of land. You could imagine you buy a piece of land for $200? Boy, only in Nevis. Buy your tickets today. 1 ticket, easy, $100. Purchase 2 tickets, $200, and get the third ticket absolutely free. In Nevis, tickets can be purchased at Clark's One Stop at Market Shop, Friends Bar in Bath Village, V's Cafe, and Boujou's Place in Charlestown. In St. Kitts, tickets are sold at Mohan Tire Shop at Needsmas and BCA at Central Street and Fashion 2020 at 4th Street, Bastia. Remember the date, Saturday afternoon, January 31st, 2026. In the heart of Charlestown, 9,884.77 square feet of land plus 10,000 easy dollars in cash will be given away. Would you want to be anywhere else but in Charlestown on January 31st? Well, I didn't think so. This is my plea. Buy your tickets early and take charge of your own destiny. Clark's One Stop is doing it again.
Thank you very much and welcome back to Tell Me. And we are at 9:49. I'm just going to make one more point before we get into the wrap-up stages for our departure at 10 o'clock. And that point is that Saturdays, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2020 Vision Radio, that's when you have On Target. So whatever you missed tonight, they will more than make up on a Saturday. So Saturdays, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I can't tell you 1 until 3 because sometimes I just be listening till 4. So it's 1 o'clock on a Saturday, 2020 Vision Radio. These two gentlemen in the studio will be there, Dr. Daly and Tulu, and they are normally joined by Hensley Daniel. So 3 of them, each one of them have enough chat to talk for the 2 hours. So imagine you put the 3 of them together, you have pure fun on a Saturday. So Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2020 Vision Radio. Now here is a point that I want to make to you that some people may have missed in the budget presentation and may have missed amid all of the confusion that the Premier has been putting out, telling you how decent and proper his government is with respect to auditing and making sure they present audit reports and so on. The Premier didn't tell you that there is no Public Accounts Committee in Nevis and has not been under his watch. The Premier did not tell you that he technically should be the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee in St. Kitts. But there is no Public Accounts Committee that you can say you ask them to ask serious questions on behalf of the committee and on behalf of the people. Because if you're going to be an effective chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee at the federal level, you must have the appetite for work, and the Premier is a lazy fellow. The Premier don't like work. He's a lazy man. So under his watch, there is no Public Accounts Committee that he can say, I'm the chairman. You got on there with 3 votes, 3 seats, 3 members, no Public Accounts Committee. But listen this, a lot of people miss this. And I'm grateful to Alan Powell, who made it his business to point it out to me. And I'm taking you to page 39 of the audit report under a heading that says Other Public Funds. And I'll read it into the record. It says the total amount of other public funds reached 85.55 million by the end of the fiscal year. This figure primarily consists of deposit accounts established for designated purposes, which ideally should have been closed once their objectives were fulfilled. However, it has become apparent that several of these accounts are actively utilized on a daily basis to document the receipt of funds and the disbursement of expenditures that could be accurately categorized as standard government revenues and expenditures. This practice indicates a potential understatement of the actual revenues and expenditures of the government, raising concerns about the transparency and the accuracy of financial reporting within the public sector. When Alan pointed out that to me, I got chills running right through my body. Because what the auditor is saying here is that these 85.5 million by the end of the fiscal year in deposits primarily established for designated purposes, which ideally should have been closed after the objectives were fulfilled. The rest of the language there in the audit report is what I call Christian bad word. This is the auditor saying these accounts, once they fulfill their objectives, you should have closed them down, and all the funds coming in and going out should have passed through the normal government accounting process. But this CCM government has kept some of them open for one purpose: to facilitate thieving. One purpose only: to facilitate thieving. And when you read that, I want you to bear in mind what the auditor said. Let me read the final sentence again. This practice of keeping those accounts open indicates a potential understatement of the actual revenues and expenditure of the government. That is frightening. it raises concerns about the transparency and accuracy of financial reporting within the public sector. Boy, when I read that, I frighten. And I want to thank you again, Alan, for pointing out that to me. Because when the auditor flags something like that, that in such diplomatic language is Christian bad word. They want to tell you, how the hell this happened? Why is this allowed to happen under the premier? And then he will come and tell you about transparency. And his government is transparent. And that they have had surplus and surplus and surplus. But every time they do something wrong, the auditor flag it and say, hey, listen, this is wrong. Stop it. I done, gentlemen. Tulu, you can go next and then Daly can close up.
Well, for some time we have been sharing information with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as to the corruption that is in this government, the grifting that goes on in the government, and that the government has reached to a stage now where they have thrown up their hands and said that we will have to sell you in order for you to survive. All I'm going to close with is this. He that has an ear to hear, let him hear. Good night.
Dr. Daly?
I had occasion to be driving around today, which is something I rarely ever do. So I drove to Brown Hill, down to Bath Village, down to Low Street area, come back around. Long Point. And everywhere I went, and every conversation I had, people are bawling out how bad things are. Bad for business, bad for personal empowerment, bad for growth. I've yet to meet a single person in all of my travels for this last year that have said to me things are booming with them. The conversations that I hear is on the contrary. Things are very, very bad. Businesses are behind on their rent. Businesses are behind on the utilities. Businesses are behind on their social services payments. People are hemorrhaging. The largest increase in depression recorded has been under this government in the last few years. People are seeking out mental health counseling. This is not, people don't go to mental health people because they're happy. They go there because they've reached to the end of their rope. Nevisians by nature are very private people when it comes to those matters. And it takes a lot for a Nevision to reach out for help. But when you're home and you feel the walls closing in on you, because there's nothing in the fridge and there's nothing on the stove, and the kids are looking at you, mommy, daddy, what's next? And you're contemplating which bill to pay, whether you pay Nevlec or you pay your water, or don't pay them both and get in arrears and have you disconnected. This is a state of play. When you go to the supermarket, you can see the anxiety on people. There's not enough to go around. People are really hurting out there. I used to go to the bank, I'd be cussing because the lines are out the door.
Not anymore.
Now you walk right up to the counter on a Monday morning. You walk to Charlestown, you're not going to bump into anybody because there's nobody walking in Charlestown. Totally, you see us on a Saturday afternoon. We walk from the studio down to Market Street, up to the library. You don't see anybody. Shopkeepers are out there sitting on the benches.
Sure.
Waiting for a little sale. People are saying, I used to make $2,000 a week. I'm making $200 a week.
but they're holding on, hoping for a miracle to happen. Eating through their savings, whatever they have left. I want people to understand that these things did not happen in a vacuum. They didn't happen accidentally. It happened because we have a government who did not plan for the future. We have a government that is more interested in keeping people poor than empowering people. And you can see it from their policies. I looked at the estimates. You want to guess how much money the government put in there for tertiary level education for our students studying abroad? Take a guess. $80,000.
I was going to tell you $1 million. That's what we're thinking.
$80,000. You know what the allowances are for? How much allowances that the elected members get, the 3 elected members get per year? $120,000 per year in allowances for 3 elected members.
That has nothing to do with salary?
No. This is what we're talking about. When we tell the government is not for you, this government is not for you. You have advisors going home with $120,000 cash plus allowances. You have them getting the paychecks in the National Assembly plus allowances. You have them taking your 3.5% and sticking it where you can't use it. And then they're going to talk about surplus. I looked at the estimate and the budget presentation by the Premier. Surplus after surplus. Last year over this year. Or this year over last year. I'm not remembering that they had to cut recurrent expenditure by 20%. So you're taking the money and said it's a surplus. But if there's a surplus, why is the hospital pharmacy empty? Why there's no drip at the hospital for patients who need that sort of intervention? Why is it that we can't get dialysis if you have surplus after surplus? It's all mind games they're playing on people. Mind games. And we're saying to the people of Nevis, we need a mature government. We need people who are going to tell you the truth. When things are bad, we can tell you it's bad because it is really bad. What we have a government here is a government of deception, who believe they can keep mama-guying people, funking people, taking the opportunity away from people, not empowering people. That's what we have. We need a real government.
I agree with you.
So, with that said, I done.
Okay. Coming up next week is the federal budget. And I'm going to end with a couple of words of advice for Dr. Joe, who is the finance minister. Dr. Joe, don't talk for 5 hours again. I really can't see what you're going to be talking about for 5 hours. Condense the thing. I think we should have a law that when you present in the budget, it shouldn't go more than 2 hours. 5 hours is a bit much.
You don't lose the
So,
people.
please, nobody go for 5 hours. Unless you're going to be telling us that you're doing the peer between Nevis and St. Kitts. And even so, that should only be for 2 hours. Spend 15 minutes on that. If you so believe in the SSZ and Destiny, spend at least 5 minutes talking about it so that we on the outside could tell you, no, we don't want that. But please don't let your budget go for 5 hours. That is going to lose the people, because nobody going to be there sitting down waiting on you and listening to you talk for 5 hours with all kind of foolishness. Give us a budget that you can get through in decent time, and spend some time telling us about your programs for the year upcoming and how you're going to get money to spend in St. Kitts Nevis, not counting this Destiny and this SSZ. The people don't want that. Listen, we're going to see how you next week. It's more than likely the last show for the year. So make sure that you are part of us and make sure that you can, next week, get ready to call in and give you a little Christmas greeting if it's going to be our last show. And more than likely it is. Until then, all will be good, you hear?
Tell me